The Voice 17104.com. This is Zanetta Wingfield, and you're listening to The Voice 17104.com. The Voice 17104.com.
You are now tuned into Real Rap on The Voice 17104, where Ron Chapel happens every Monday, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Of course, you know who this is. It's your girl, Niagara. Yeah!
Good Monday evening, everybody. Hi, I'm Ron Chapel. Welcome to Real Rap with Ron Chapel. It hit different. It hit different. Do your homework. Do your homework. Well, listen, we had said that we would be doing Monday Night Chapel tonight, but that program is paused. And Mother Eleanor Harrison, who has the Monday Night Chapel broadcast, she'll be back here next Monday night. And her preacher of the hour will be First Lady Crawley of the Higher Learning Church there in Klein Village. She'll be the preacher of the hour next Sunday night, next Monday night rather. And I hope that you can join us. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Let me introduce and recognize the engineer of the program. Again, newlywed, Pastor Chris Thomas. How you doing, sir?
What's good, brother? Good to see you tonight, man. And it's great to be back on the program, brother.
Yes, good to see you too. Do your homework. Do your homework. It hit different. I said newlywed again. I said newlywed again because Chris and Melissa Hall Thomas renewed their wedding vows after 10 years. This past Sunday. That's right. It was so nice. They did it twice. Okay. And it was a beautiful occasion. And there were plenty of honored guests that were there. And I am blessed to say that, I did receive an invitation. And so I was there in attendance. And I'm thoroughly glad that I did join the festivities. And so Pastor Thomas, I took a few photos and a couple of short video clips. So for the folks that weren't there or that are interested in how things went, can we start showing some of those photos, please? Okay, that was the invitation. That was the invitation that some of us received. And this is after the ceremony. I believe this is in the reception, Pastor Thomas. Is that correct?
Yeah, I believe this is at the reception. I believe this is when my wife wanted to smear cake in my face. You see that very interesting look she has on her face, though she shouldn't be doing it, but chose to kind of do it anyway.
Yeah, well, I think there was another picture that showed her with the cake in her hand, cake on her foot. Okay, and that was a little setting that y'all had there. And I tell you, the lighting was perfect. The lighting was good. And this particular picture here, which I did post on my Facebook page, has got about 90 different reactions to it and many, many well wishers. And I think that it's also tagged to your page.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Again, I'm overwhelmed by the response of the community and the participation of the community as well. And thank you for catching these candid moments on film as well.
Yes, it hit different. When there's different photos so you can show people better than you could tell them. Okay, let's see another one, Pastor Thomas. Okay, and there she is. There's Sister Melissa Hall Thomas, Mrs. Christopher Thomas, with the cake on the fork. And she was sort of saying, guess who's going to get hit with cake?
Yeah.
Guess who's going to be wearing cake? Guess who's going to be wearing cake? And Chris was saying, no, don't put the cake in
we don't play that. I said we eat cake. We don't put cake in people's face. I was never that one, even during birthdays, man. Right. Smear cake on my outfit and on my face.
Right. And some folks were saying, I was one of them, go ahead, do it. Do it. But she didn't do it. Okay, go ahead.
She partially did. She smeared it on my beard or on the side of my face.
And that was the cake. I tell you, it was the delicious cake.
Oh, my.
white icing, but it was a white and chocolate cake inside, and it was delicious. It was delicious, you know. And they also had cupcakes. You know, they had cupcakes. Some that were chocolate underneath, and some with white cake or yellow cake. But they were good. They were real good. And plus, they gave a little party. Party souvenirs. You know, they had little containers of kisses. Do you have one there that you can show, Pastor Thomas?
No, I don't.
What
We
they all
actually
giving
gave
out?
them away to our pastor friend who came down from Philly to give out on their street ministry the next day. Because we
Okay.
didn't want to have to carry anything back home.
Okay, they were probably about maybe about 5 inches by 3 inches, and one of them was fashioned like a man in a tuxedo. The other one was like a wedding bonnet, and they were chock full of chocolate kisses, and they were good. Okay, go to the next one, Chris. Okay, and these are two of the attendees, and both of these people here have been preachers of the hour here on Monday Night Chapel. That's Apostle. I'm getting a George Bush moment right
Vince
now.
Robinson.
Vincent Robinson Sr. and his wife, Pastor Jill Robinson, and so they were also in attendance, and they were table guests at the table I was at. Okay, Pastor Thomas, let's see another one. And this is sort of like a slight picture of the of the reception room, and you see all the tables were adorned with a nice sort of light purple tablecloth and table settings, and it was wonderful. And incidentally, all this happened right here at West Union AME Church. You know, those of you that have been to the studio, you know, you walk through a little hall, a little room, banquet room there, and this is where they had it all decorated. And I know that took plenty of work, Pastor Thomas.
Oh, sir, we got here at 9 o'clock, 9 o'clock Friday morning, and I believe we were still setting up around 4:30, quarter to 5 Friday afternoon. And then when the event was done around 2:30, 3 o'clock, we were here at almost 6:30, 7 o'clock, tearing it all down.
Yeah, it hit different. It hit different when you set everything up yourself, and then you turn around and got to break everything down yourself. It hit different. Okay, let's see another picture, Chris. And that's Chris and Melissa Hall Thomas's daughter, pretty little Melina, and she was the flower girl. She was a flower girl, and I tell you, she did a fantastic job. You know, supposedly there were going to be 2 additional children, Pastor Chris?
Yeah, there's supposed to be my wife, her son, his son and daughter were supposed to come, and there were complications in getting them from upstate New York to Pennsylvania. So she had to ride it solo, never being a part of a wedding. And never, a lot of people don't know, we never had a wedding rehearsal. As normally people have a rehearsal dinner and a rehearsal
Yes.
the day before. We handwritten out our program, and then we had to touch base with all the participants and moving parts the next day.
Yeah, I know it was a lot of work. You know, I've produced different kind of entertainment shows before, and I know, man, there's a wealth of work that go into that labor, and there's always something it seems like that might come up at the last minute, you know, and see, I'm a kind of person, I don't like last minute surprises. And so, were there any last minute complications that you care to speak about?
Oh man, there were always last minute complications, man. Just speaking on my own behalf, I bought my outfit probably about 6 months prior, and I tried everything on but the pants. And 2 days before the wedding, I thought I'd try the pants on to see how they fit with the shoes I was going to wear, only to find out they were a little more snug than what I would like them to be.
Right.
So at the last minute, I had to make some adjustments, with my outfit. I think my wife had some wardrobe malfunctions as well with her hair, but she had a whole team of competent individuals that weren't cognizant of the time that they were taking to make sure they fixed the wardrobe malfunctions before
Right.
she actually stepped out. But it all worked out. It was kind of awkward standing up front that 7-8 minutes when the next person in the wedding party is supposed to be walking down. But Pastor Harris, he really kept a cool head. He kept saying, everything's cool, don't worry about it. Everything looks good, we're looking good, don't worry about it. So he really kept the peace in my mind when I wanted to leave the front and go in the back to hurry the next person down the aisle.
Yeah, have you ever seen a scene like someone being left at the altar? Well, they give you some idea, because I know those 5, 6, or 7 minutes probably seem like a half an hour more, and to you, I don't know, standing there. And yet Pastor Earl Harris, he officiated the festivities, and also there was input and a prayer and input by Pastor Thomas's mother, Bishop Roberta L. Thomas. Where's the church at?
Her church is located at 1419 Dairy Street.
It is Foundgate, I believe.
Yes, sir, it is.
And happy belated birthday to her. Her birthday officially was yesterday, but she's come to the stage in life she's earned to be able to celebrate her birthday all month. And so if you haven't sent your birthday wishes and good wishes to Pastor Roberta L. Thomas, well, then do that now. Or maybe even better, attend a church service. Attend the church service Sunday if you are unchurched, especially, and you can tell her personally. You can tell her up close in front personally. And you know what? She is a very, very, very busy pastor of that church, Pastor Thomas, because I know that they have a food bank where they give out food some mornings. I've drove by there, and I see crowds around the church, a line around the church, and they would be passing out food and sometimes clothing. And I've also seen her out there sort of doing some of the landscape work there at Foundgate Church. So she's a very, very active pastor at Foundgate Church right there on Dairy and 14th Street.
Yes, sir, around the corner at 14th and Kentucky.
Okay, Kentucky. Okay, so many of you have driven by that church before, so if you have time, stop in and say hi to Pastor Roberta L. Thomas, Bishop Roberta L. Thomas. Go right ahead, Chris. We got another picture. Okay, and this is the procession, part of the procession. This is after the service, after the wedding. Okay, I think we have another, and that's Pastor Thomas and Pastor Melissa, Pastor Christopher, Pastor Melissa L. Thomas. Now, when they're proceeding from the preacher, Pastor Earl Harris, they're coming down the aisle and they're greeting some of the attendees. And I tell you, it was a beautiful church. I don't know if you've been to Western Union Church before, Western Union AME Church here at 5th and Camp, but they have a beautiful sanctuary, beautiful, very, very calming, beautiful sanctuary. Okay, Pastor Thomas. Okay, and that's a lovely bride, Pastor Melissa Hall Thomas, and her good cooking is the reason that Chris said his suit pants did not fit. He didn't find out till a couple of days before the wedding, that a suit that he just bought, a few weeks back?
Oh, no, it was about 6 months or so. 6 months back. But anyway, so at the last minute, there's always something that happens at the last minute. And I tell you, I can really, really identify with what you're talking about, because I may plan all week to wear a certain suit, to church. And then Sunday morning when I try to put on the pants, oh man, what happened? Well, yes, sir.
I know what happened. Probably all them cookies or whatever, and Eleanor's good cooking. And so, sometimes I had to turn around and just wear a pair of jeans, and a nice shirt at the last minute. And so I know how that is. I'm pretty sure women have had their issues like that also. When you take something out the closet and freeze it or get it out the cleaners, and you haven't worn it in weeks or maybe months, and then you try it on, and that's a bad time to find out that it no longer fits. Okay, let's go to another picture, Chris. Okay, and that's Pastor Ron Wright. Okay, and he came in from what part of New York? He came in
from South Philly or West Philly, somewhere in the Philadelphia area. Yeah. Him and his lovely wife, Jazz Wright.
Yes, and they were also part of the festivities, and he was the sort of MC, if you will.
And the best man.
At the reception, and also the best man, Pastor Ron Wright. And doesn't he have a program here at The Voice?
No, he doesn't have a program here, but he's another committed street preacher and street evangelist as well in the Philadelphia area.
Okay, I've seen a lot of clips with you and him and Pastor Melissa Alzheimer's. Yeah, out in the public, beckoning people to serve Christ. Okay, let's go to another picture, Ms. Thomas. As part of the wedding party there, Pastor Melissa Thomas in the beautiful dress, which you say was there was some last minute issues, Pastor Thomas?
Sure. She had a whole nother dress picked out. Long story short, she was really distraught a couple days before the wedding, just like I was with the pants. But I knew finding a pair of pants would be easier than finding a wedding dress a few days before. But I felt the Spirit of the Lord to tell her that if He could create the world in 6 days and take a rest on the 7th, He could, in a week and a half, help her find another wedding dress. And an hour later, a lady called her on the phone about 20 minutes away and said that she had a dress for her to potentially look at. And the dress fit. It was a little bit long, but she wore some 6-inch heels to try to compensate for the dress being long.
Right. I tell you, it was a beautiful dress, beautiful dress. And that's Melissa Hall Thomas's son from prior marriage there, with this Rick Ross beard. That boy had a sharp beard, If man would grow like that, I would.
Sure, I wish mine would grow like that.
Yeah, I would wear it, and so, he played a part also in the wedding. And that's his lovely wife there to his side. Asia Bird. Okay, and there's pretty Melina and the soul flower girl. She was a flower girl, very, very courageous, because a lot of children would have been too shy, too bashful to do that by themselves. It's easy when you got people around you can sort of lose yourself in, but she did it by herself, and she did not skip a beat, and she did a marvelous job. And as you say, she had never even attended a wedding before.
No, she never attended a wedding, and the surprising part about it, about 3 months prior, she'd been taking ballet lessons, and she had her ballet recital, and she was so nervous the week of, knowing she had to perform in front of people. She was actually she couldn't keep her food down, so she kept vomiting, and the teacher came back and said that our daughter was kind of sick, but she wanted to kind of keep her engaged in the recital. So she was really kind of shell-shocked as far as being on the stage in front of a bunch of people. But here, the second time go around, you thought she was a natural and done it a million times.
Yeah, it hit different, when you had some sort of experience before, and also being a little ballerina, it hit different. Okay, she did a fantastic job. Okay, let's see another Pastor Thomas. Okay, and that's Pastor Earl Harris. He's been a guest on the Ron Chapel show before, and there he is reciting the vows, for the continuation, or I guess, and this was sort of like a 10-year anniversary too, right, Pastor?
Yes, sir. Actually, my 53rd birthday and our 10th year renewing our vow service.
Okay, yes, the vow renewal. Pastor Earl Harris. Okay, and let's go to another picture, Chris. And they served us too. Yeah, the food was delicious. They served us. There's some barbecue chicken there. There's some fish, rolls, and baked macaroni and cheese, and also string beans. And they also had some punch and some, I believe, sparkling cider for the wedding toast. And I tell you, it was really, really good, and they had plenty. And so that was a lot of work and a lot of expenses, I'm sure, in putting together such a grand occasion.
A big shout out to CW Fish, Brother Carlton Lissenot, for doing catering for the wonderful event as well.
Yeah. Okay, and let's go to the next. And let's just show you a little bit of the table setting, how things look. And that's the table of the honorees right behind it, that long table there. And okay, here's a pretty flower girl. Here's Melina. Now, she's never attended a wedding before. And look at her. Okay, and there's some people showing up.
Actually, the baby's godmother.
Oh, really?
She's the one that actually pays for my daughter's dance recital and dance lesson.
Okay. And show Melina again. Let's start it back from the beginning. It hit different, when God gives you the courage to do the things that He's appointed you to do. And she did it all by herself. She did it all by herself. And she did a marvelous, marvelous job. Okay, Chris, let's go to the next one, please. And there's Pastor Melissa Hall Thomas with her son with the Rick Ross beard, and walking her down the aisle, and I tell you, you gotta feel that you are a good man, Pastor Thomas. And as a matter of fact, he even expressed that. He expressed words to that effect. That he's glad his mom was happy now, and that she was secure, and he knew that she would take good care of her. Because the man is virtually giving his mother away. It's like you give your daughter to another man to be his wife. You're putting her care and safety in his hands. And he seemed to have no hesitation in doing that, and so, and he respects you very much, and he loves you, and so that was a beautiful scene. Right there. Okay, let's go to another picture.
That was my
Ready?
Okay,
You ready?
yes.
How you feeling right now?
God, I'm nervous.
Nervous? To
Just
see you,
for the
honey.
wedding.
She's shy, y'all. She's shy.
You got a camera?
He said it was hot in there too. And she
Yeah,
went
very, very, very
satin clothes. Okay, there it is. There it is. It hit different when God ordained something, and it turns out well every time. And shout out to FYBJ Maine. I've been wearing his sort of tagline out. It hit different. It hit different. Do your homework. Okay, that belongs to YJB J Maine. J Maine. And so what I want to do tonight, I want to introduce a tagline for the residents of Harrisburg, or primarily for this show, for Real Rap with Ryan Chappell. And that tagline is, with the capital city state of mind. With the capital city state of mind. We are residents of the capital city. Who run the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania? The capital city. With the capital city state of mind. All decisions that regulate this state, this Commonwealth / state, originate right here in the capital city of Harrisburg. And so, if you're a Harrisburg resident, keep that and conduct yourself. Conduct yourself. With the authority of having a capital city frame of mind. Wherever you go, when you go to another state, you go down south. Wherever you go there with the capital city state of mind. With a capital city state of mind. You don't think small, you think big. Who run the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania? Harrisburg. We are residents of Harrisburg, and so we should all have a capital city state of mind. And I think you named this program, Pastor Thomas, tonight, tagged it with the capital city frame of mind. Okay, and so I hope that you have a capital city frame of mind, and don't just walk but strut. Don't walk but strut, because you have a capital city frame of mind. Okay. And so that's my tagline that I want to sort of audition tonight, with the capital city frame of mind. And like I say, shout out again to FYB J Maine for letting me borrow his taglines. It get different. It hits different. And do your homework. Okay, y'all. So that was a very special occasion yesterday. It happened right upstairs here at West Union AME Church. And Pastor Thomas, before we leave this segment, I'm giving you the time to make any closing remarks about it, sir.
Sure, I would be remiss. Well, first, Ron Chappell, thank you for taking a portion of your show, to talk about our special occasion again, as we recommitted our love and revisited our vows of 10 years in being relationship with one another. Big shout out, to Pastor Earl Harris for co-officiating with my mother, again, Pastor and Bishop Roberta Thomas. Big shout out to my Philadelphia family that came down from Philly. To my family locally here as well, big shout out to them. All the dignitaries, I cannot even get to naming all the different people, as I'm sure I'll forget a few, but counted as area of the gray hair, not area of the heart. And again, I would be saddened if I didn't show my thanks and gratitude for Wesley Union AME Zion Church under the direction and leadership of none other than Reverend Dr. David T. Miller. They were very instrumental in relocating our studio here at Wesley, and then so ever so generous to allow us the liberty to use their sanctuary yesterday as we revisited our vows, and then to use the dining hall, the air-conditioned dining hall. Praise God for air-conditioned dining hall. I've definitely been to a lot worse before, but I thank God, for their generosity and the liberty, to use the facility. And for those that couldn't come, but sent well wishes or sent gifts of love, again, no gift of love was unappreciated or we were ungrateful for. Again, we appreciate all the cards, all the words of blessing and the prayers that went out from our family and friends as well. So thank you again for attending, counting in our robbery to make your way there and to capture some moments. On film, we're still waiting. We should have the final, the professional photography pictures tomorrow. Big shout out to LB Lenz, Brother Lester Bowman, community activist, community servant as well, servant leader. He did an outstanding job. I didn't see the pictures yet, but I'm sure they will be something worth remembering and a very good investment, in the memories of our special occasion as well. So thank you, man. Appreciate it. Thank you, Dr. Miller. Thank you, Wesley. Thank you, Harrisburg, Philadelphia, New York City, and all the places in between, in Jesus' name.
Okay, Chris, thank you. The capital city frame of mind, I thank you. Okay, let's talk elections. Now, we've got a big general election coming up here in the capital city in November. And, you got some candidates, some that feel that they are over the hump. They made it to the general election ballot. And there's some that also want to succeed, who may not, who are not officially on the ballot. And one thing I'll say about that, I'll say anyway, whether a person makes the ballot or not, running an election, getting elected to political office is like pushing a loaded wheelbarrow up a hill. It's like pushing a wheelbarrow full of sand up a hill. It's already a difficult task. It's a difficult task. But it can be accomplished. It can be done. You can make it to that plateau. If some things come into play, and a lot of those things, sometimes I guess are would be help from other people that are helping you to push their load up that hill. In that wheelbarrow full of broken concrete and sand, pushing it up a incline. It can be done. It's not an impossible task, but it is a daunting task. It takes a lot of effort. And one thing I found out in life, when people see you trying to do something, earnestly and tirelessly, well, they don't mind stepping in and helping you out, Pastor Thomas.
Sure.
Don't mind stepping in and help you out. But just like when you sometime unfortunately walk by a panhandler and you see the same panhandler sitting there all day and every day, you see them when you are going to work and they're sitting there or standing there with a sign, and you see them when you come home from work and they're still standing there or sitting there with a sign, and they're there day in and day out. Sometimes you are reluctant to share what you have, because you, in your mind, you say, well, they could be doing something. They could be doing something. If it's not going to the corner a grocery store or corner gas station and asking, can I come by and sweep up? Or maybe approaching people saying, can I pump your gas? You say it at a distance in the right way. Can I pump your gas, or put air in your tire, or clean your windshield, or something like that? When you see somebody trying to do something, you don't mind lending a helping hand, Pastor Thomas.
Sure.
Back, and let me bring this home and make it personal here too. Back a year or two after my second enlistment in the United States Marine Corps, I thank God, I came back, I came home for the second time without any physical injuries anyway, especially the first tour. I went to a war, came back without any physical injuries. The second time I went in, 4 3/4 years later, I went in and I came back, not with any physical injuries, but with some emotional injuries, because I came back a raving alcoholic, Pastor Thomas, let me tell the truth and shame the devil, and I end up self-medicating myself for about 20 more years after that, constantly bending the elbow, if you get my drift, and I wasn't sophisticated enough to even go to the VA, to seek remedies, because of the condition that I came back in. Okay. But so went in the service twice, came back, and were blessed enough to come back, And so one day I left one bar on Woodward Avenue, which is like a main drag in Detroit, where I lived at, where I grew up at. I left the bar and I ran across this 4-lane highway, with a little island in the middle, to catch a bus that was pulling up, because I was drinking every day, so I wasn't driving. And I ran across the street and I got struck by a vehicle, Pastor Thomas.
Sure.
My head crushed the windshield of a vehicle. My face crushed the windshield of a vehicle, and my face was all scarred up here, I broke my jaw, knocked out some teeth, and I crushed my elbow, dislocated my shoulder, and so I ran across the street and I woke up in the EMS. And then when I woke up, I passed out again. When I woke up, I was in like a X-ray chair, would sit back like a barber chair, right, Pastor Thomas?
Sure.
And they take pictures. They take an X-ray of your entire body, Passed out. When I woke up again, I was laying in the hospital, with tubes up my nose, down my throat, the whole 9 yards, And they fashioned a doggone jaw brace. Jaw brace looked like a TV antenna, Pastor Thomas.
Wow.
I was in the hospital for about 3 or 4 weeks, and mind you, this was the early '80s. I remember to the penny, the doctor bill, ended up being $18,154.20, and this was like around 1981 or 1982, you know what I mean? Which correlate that with monies nowadays, you're talking, well over $100,000, if not more, at least $100,000. Anyway, I laid in the backyard at my mom's house, because I, had to stay at my mom's house because, I wasn't able to work anything. And so I laid in the backyard for about 3 weeks, listen to old jazz music, get my body rested and well enough to go out and work again, And I came out of the hospital with a cast on his arm, with a jaw brace, and walking with a cane, And so As soon as I was able, what I would do, because I could not agree to a regular job. You know what I'm saying? Because I was in no position to honor a commitment to a regular job. So there was a city park, sort of like a Reservoir Park, which probably was about 5 blocks from my house. Now, on hot summer nights, you know, different people would go to the park and they would park and they would drink beer and wine and stuff, and they would throw the cans out the window, you know. So the whole parking area was littered with bottles and cans, you know. Now, in Detroit, in Michigan, about 20 years ago, to help keep the streets and sidewalks clean of those discarded cans and bottles, they started giving out deposits, you know, like a deposit return. You know, if you take in for instance, a soda bottle or soda can, there's a 10-cent recoverable return. You know what I'm saying, Pastor Thomas?
Sure.
And so what I did, I found an old shopping cart, and every morning at 6 o'clock in the morning, 6:30, I would push that shopping cart hobbling up to this park called Palmer Park.
Okay.
And I would pick up bottles and cans, and I did that probably about 4 days a week. And I would take the bottles and cans and I would store them in the backyard in a little pile, you know. And so I did that every day. And Sunday after church, I would take all the bottles and cans, I would line them up, you know, and I would take a water hose and I would wash them all down. And then I would take them, put them in the shopping cart and push them 4 blocks up to the grocery store. And, you know, I got, 10 cents back on each bottle, each can. So I come back, you know, with $35, $40, $45, you know. And what I used to also do, there was some burnt down businesses in the area, you know, down on Woodrow Wilson Street, if you live in Detroit. And I used to push this cart down there. I used to go into these old warehouses, and I pour down the insulated wire. You know what I'm saying, Pastor Thomas?
Sure.
You know, because it's copper in those wires, you know. And I would come in and I would pour down all the wires. I would load it in the cart, push it back behind the house in the alley, and then I would set it ablaze, you know, to burn the insulation off the copper, you know. And they would kick out big fumes of dark black smoke, you know. And sometimes the neighbors would be alarmed, thinking that the back of the house was on fire. And one or two times, they called the fire department, you know. And one time I got into a lot of trouble because of that, you know what I'm saying? But what I would do, I would burn the insulation off, then I would push that same shopping cart up to this junkyard a few blocks up, you know, and then get, you know, another 30, 25, 30, $40, you know, from the copper wire. And I did that probably about, I did that after I took the cans up there. But to put a period on it, I noticed a few times my mother would be in the window, looking out the back window, looking at me, you know, especially burning the insulation. And you don't have to fire it out, you know, when I'm putting the copper wire in the cart and taking it to the junkyard. She saw me do that a few times, you know. And then lo and behold, Pastor Thomas, she called out to me, she called me into the house, and she gave me a few dollars, you know.
Okay.
You know, she just gave me a few dollars, you know. She gave me a few dollars, and I never will forget that, you know. And I feel that she did that because she saw that I was trying to do something, Pastor Thomas, you know.
Sense.
You know, I could not hold down a job every day.
Sure.
Because I worked all my life, but I've always been a worker, you know. And no one can ever tell you anything lazy about Glenn. That's my middle name. That's what my family called me.
Right.
You know, Glenn ain't lazy. You know, Glenn always had a work, Glenn always had a job, or Glenn always ran his own business, you know. So anyway, I'm saying that to say that when people see you trying to do something, they don't mind helping out. You know. Now, and I'm trying to get a message to a certain person personally, many, many times, several times, but apparently it's been to no avail, and I have the person's interest at heart because I want to see the person succeed. And so, I'm doing it via this format, and, like I say, when people see you trying to do something, well, then they generally want to join in and help, probably except for in Harrisburg. I say that, being an outsider, being a transplanted person here, because Harrisburg, although it has a capital city frame of mind, if you be honest, there are sort of there are clique levels here in Harrisburg. If you're in a certain clique, well, then you get full support, at least support by the members of that particular clique. And to see a lot of that is paramount here. We've been on the air for several years, and we give out a telephone number, and very rarely do we have people call in or make comments, during the broadcast to interact with the broadcast, because Ryan Chapel is not part of any clique, and Ryan Chapel's uncle's brother's cousin did not go to school with somebody's best friend, cousin's uncle, 30 years ago. That's all well and good. That's all well and good. Ryan Chapel is going to be all right, but still, I think that if it's something that people generally see you trying to do, well, then they will join in to try to give a helping hand. They would join in to help rather than hinder, and not just you sitting around talking about it, or making videos about it. You know what I'm saying? Now let's put everything on the table. Let's put everything on the table. Some of these political positions, excuse me, justly compensate the office holder of these positions. Now, there is a position, or there are positions in Harrisburg, in Pennsylvania, that compensate that office holder $177,000 a year. Let me say it again, $177,000 a year. Now, you don't have to be a mathematician to know that $177,000 over a 6-year term, has a balance line, comes out to over $1 million. You know what I'm saying, Pastor Thomas?
Yes, sir.
Over $1 million over 6 years. Now, if I had an opportunity to be in a position that would compensate me over $1 million for 6 years of employment, don't you know, Pastor Thomas, every working minute of every working day or night, that I would be out making sure everybody knew who I was. Make sure everybody that was in a position to put me in that situation would know who I was, and not just read about me, not just hear about me, but know me personally, because I need something from them. I need for them to go through the effort to vote for me, to vote for me. You know what I mean? And, what is it? Okay, we go to the Bible where, the day of judgment, some of these church leaders, go to God and say, well, didn't I cast out evil spirits in your name? Didn't I feed the hungry? Didn't I clothe the naked? And God told him, get away from me. I never knew you. I never knew you. So that's saying that, to me, that person did not have a relationship with God, And so in the same respect, it's like that said candidate does not have a personal relationship with the voter, And so there's plenty of time to build up a personal relationship. That's knocking on the door. that's taking the time to talk with them, to say, this is what I want to offer you and the community that we all live in, or the district that we all live in, you know. Now is the time to do that. Now is the time to do that, you know, because on election day, excuse me, when people are standing in the line at the polling booth, I mean at the voting booth, that is the wrong time to approach people to give them a bunch of stuff to read, Pastor Thomas. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Nobody have time to read something about a person that they never even heard of and then make a decision, because I'm pretty sure I can say 85% of the people that show up at a polling place already know who they're going to vote for. They already know who they're going to vote for, Pastor Thomas.
Sure.
And they may be there like on their lunch break, or they may be there, they might have just stopped in on the way to work, you know, or on the way home. You know, they don't have time to sit up and read a book about somebody that they should already know about. You know what I'm saying, Pastor Thomas?
Yes, sir.
And so I'm saying that to say that if there's a candidate that want people to cast a vote for them, to help them push that wheelbarrow full of sand and stones and broken concrete slabs up a hill, well, they have to get out there. They have to get out there, Pastor Thomas. They have to get out there and press some flesh, you know, shake some hands, you know, meet and greet some people up close, up front, and personal, you know. And I tell you, give me an opportunity like that, Pastor Thomas,
Yes, sir.
and I would spend every red cent I had, you know, if I couldn't get it through contributions, every red cent I had to try to make that dream come true. If it meant taking out a loan, I would go to the credit union, Pastor Thomas,
Okay.
and take out a loan, you know, or take out a loan, you know. If I had to take out a payday loan, then I would take out a payday loan to push my cause, because if I accomplish this goal over 6 years, I would be over $1 million ahead. You know what I'm saying? Over $1 million ahead. And so therefore, it ain't no time. Don't be calling me about no doggone party. Don't be calling me about going to any concert. Don't call me about going to any movie. Matter of fact, don't even call me telling me that you got a card game going on, you know, a card game. As much as I like to play beer whist and think I'm pretty good at it too, you know. But don't call me about none of that, because I'm working on a goal, Pastor Thomas. I'm working on a goal. I'm working on qualifying for this $1 million over 6 years. So I ain't got time for nothing else. And to help give me a good chance of accomplishing that, I'm going to go in my pocket and I'm going to pay some folks, Pastor Thomas, because you see, volunteers are all well and good, you know,
Sure.
until they have a change of mind, until they stay out late one night and then the next day they don't feel like doing it. Or they start thinking, well, man, I tell you, the price of gas nowadays, it already cost me this, cost me that, to get to work, to take care of my own self. And now I'm supposed to extend that to help, you know, somebody else in their dream, when my dream is to keep my lights on, to feed my family, and to keep a roof over my head. And to maintain employment or maintain my business functioning, you know, Pastor Tom, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So therefore, a person has got to go into their pocket, and they got to compensate people who will be dedicated, who will truly own up to their word, because then they would have a financial agreement. They would benefit something. They would have a financial agreement to help push this particular candidate or campaign ahead. You know what I'm saying? For instance, there's many ways to go out and find some young legs, you know, Pastor Thomas, because that's what it takes, going up and down them doggone stairs and going up to them doorways If you don't believe it, ask any mailman. A lot of y'all, when you were kids, you wanted to be mailman because you figured it was a secure job. But with the older you got, and now you imagine how it is walking down the street and you got to go up on 30 different porches, 30 different porches, and some stairs are steeper than others, and some stairs are concrete, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I did that, Pastor Thomas. I did a lot of that back during the Lyndon Thompson campaign, Pastor Thomas, and the Sheila Dow Ford campaign, Pastor Thomas.
Okay.
And that was at least 20 years ago. And I still recall how taxing it was then. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's work for young folks. It's work for young folks, And it's work for young folks, if not teenagers, or then at least somebody in their 20s and 30s, Pastor Thomas. And there's plenty of people that go over to Labor Ready every day looking for work, Pastor Thomas. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
They're standing around Labor Ready. There's plenty of panhandlers that if you approach them and say, well, hey, buddy, can I pay you $10? You want a job? $10 is not difficult work. Yeah, $10. Okay, what do I have to do? You just have to walk down 2 blocks and go up to the door and put this card in the door. You ain't got to talk to nobody. You just go up there, put this in the door, or put it under the mailbox. Do you know, Pastor Thomas, legally, you cannot put something in somebody's mailbox?
Oh, yes, sir. It's
Because
that's like using a telephone pole.
Right. See, that mailbox belongs to the government, to the homeowner and the government. So you can't put it in the mailbox, but you can put it under the mailbox, or you can put it in the door. Here, I want to pay you $10. Just walk down these 2 blocks. Matter of fact, I drive you over there. I'll drop you off at one end of the block, and I pick you up at the next end of the block, And $10, the $10 a block. This block got about 30 houses on it, And I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that, Pastor Thomas, because it is an investment.
Right.
It is an investment of me getting this $1 million. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And so go to these gas stations. There are people hanging out there with nothing to do, trying to bum a cigarette or trying to bum $1. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of them wouldn't mind, making that $10 to $15 or $20. You know what I'm saying? Just to walk up and down some stairs. You know what I'm saying? Because they're walking around carrying signs. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what you got to do. That's what you got to do, because that is an investment. That is an investment, because the people would promise you anything. People say, well, don't worry, I help you do this, I help you do that, I help you do this, until they don't feel like it, Pastor Thomas. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And then what you gonna do?
Right.
Then what you gonna do? You cannot make demands on someone that's doing you a favor, but when you paying somebody, you can say, why didn't you do this? Ain't this what we agreed upon? You said you would do this, and I did my part by paying you to do this, but you didn't do this. You know what I'm saying? And so you just got to make that investment. You got to make that investment. And building up a relationship, you got to be especially zeroed in on that particular locale that will be responsible for putting me in position to make that $6 million. Pastor Thomas, you know what I'm saying? I don't have as many, for instance, say that I was running for some position in my neighborhood, in my neighborhood, and only people in my neighborhood could vote. You know what I'm saying? Now, it's useless for me to try to get that message, the campaign or on social media before, say if I have 1,000, 2,000, or 3,000 Facebook friends. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Now I'm spending my time getting that message to a whole bunch of folks who couldn't vote for me if they wanted to. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because they're not qualified, because they don't live in that specific area. You know what I'm saying? And so they couldn't vote for me if they wanted to. I would zero in on those that, you know, had the rights to put me in that position to make that $6 million. You know, the rest of it, you know, is just it's just useless. It's just me talking, because it's not going to have any effect. It's not going to have any effect. You know, as I say, the bottom line is that if I can work a job, if I can work a position, and I'm not breaking my back, I'm not risking my life, and you're going to tell me after 6 years, if I saved everything, I would have over $1 million?
Wow.
Over $1 million?
Come on, sir.
When would you sit down, Pastor Thomas?
Oh, man, come on.
When would you take a break from that?
My.
I don't think you would take a break.
Not too many of them.
I don't think you'd take a break. You know, there's no time to lollygag. There's no time to shuck and jive. You know, it's time to get out there, to go to where the people are, not just walk by them. Excuse me. Not just, pardon me, not just walk by them, not just drive by them. Not just walk by them, not just drive by them, but to get up, go out there and meet them, greet them, and talk to them.
Sure.
Hi, I'm so and so, and I'm running for office in this particular area. And do you have a couple of moments so I can tell you about my plans? If I'm elected, if I earn your trust for you to select me for this particular position, you know, this is what I would do. And then again, what are your concerns? What do you think should be done that isn't being done? How do you think things could be better? You know, I mean, that's the conversation, you know, that you got to have with these people. And I'm gonna tell you, I guarantee you that at election time, that person's gonna remember my name. You know, that person's gonna remember my name. That person's gonna see my name and gonna say, "Oh yeah, that's that fella that stopped by." You know, and I told him about, you know, how, you know, like the people, some people are playing their music too loud, or they're letting their dogs run free, you know, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, you know, whatever. Or I found out that this grocery store up here, this corner store, is selling rotting meat, you know, and stuff like that. You know, they would remember me. You know what I'm saying, Pastor Thomas? They would remember me, you know. And they may give me a play. They may give me a play, you know. But if I wait until election day, and then again, you know, I would encourage them. I would ask and encourage them to put my yard sign in their line, on their lawn. You know what I'm saying, Pastor Thomas?
Yes, sir.
I wouldn't expect for them to have to call me to ask me for a yard sign, because they're doing me a favor. They're doing me a favor. Why go through the effort to call me and ask me, you know, can I help you? No. I'm asking you, will you help me? You knock on 10 doors. If somebody going to accept you, if somebody feel that you should have a chance, at least 4 of them people are going to say, yes, go right ahead, put it right in my yard, you know. And I tell you what, my cousin live around the corner, and they're working all day. Give me one. I'm going to ask him if they'll put this in your yard too. You know. Come election time, your name should be a household word. It should be a household word. You know, it should be a household word. People should know who you are. People should not be able to turn a block, to turn a corner in your particular area and not see your name somewhere, you know, because I would tell you, election time, election day, or the day before election, ain't nobody going to take the time to, and ain't nobody going to want to read a whole journal about you, you know. And everybody is not on social media, you know. And like I say, I venture to say that majority of people on social media couldn't vote for you if they wanted to, you know. And so people want to see you out there where they are, and not just driving by, and not just pumping yourself up, but getting out there and pumping some elbows by shaking some hands. Okay, so that's what I want to say today, with a capital state of mind. And you know, pardon me, I did not open up the telephone lines, but some of y'all may not have called anyway, but I don't know. I don't know. I didn't open up the telephone lines, and that's on me. And so I want you to join us again next week, if you're so pleased. We'll be back to Monday Night Chapel programming. And I tell you, Mother Eleanor Harrison will have First Lady Crawley on as our preacher of the hour. And then in the second week of September, I'll be hosting a segment of Monday Night Chapel where I have Pastor Brangman. He'll come on bringing the word of life, and he's from I believe that's New Bethel.
Bethlehem.
Yes, I was going to say New Bethel, one of my churches back home. Bethel AME Church here in Harrisburg. He'll be here as a preacher of the hour, the second Monday in September, if God give. And so if I forget to say, if God let us see that day, I hope everybody have a very, very enjoyable Labor Day weekend, Labor Day weekend. Those of you that'll be traveling out of town, and those of you that have travelers, family members and friends coming in from out of town, I pray you all safe journey. In Harrisburg. Don't forget, you're a resident of Harrisburg. You should know that you have a capital city frame of mind. You should have a capital city frame of mind, and you should conduct yourself accordingly, and that's in speech and in action. Okay, won't you? Well then, why don't you? Peace, love, and good night.